Heart knows. Mind tries to figure out. Joy and sorrow are part of the process of existence. Like the warp and weft of a carpet, they are woven into each other, and they each have a purpose to fulfill. The purpose of sorrow is to make us receptive to higher influences and to higher dimensions of ourselves. Joy is the expression in our being of what we receive from higher dimensions. The reason joy and sorrow are woven into the process of existence is to create the possibility for the growth of consciousness. Suffering, on the other hand, is not really part of the process. It is a product of the mind of man. You may ask, how could the mind be able to create so much suffering? To answer that, we have to see what the mind is. First of all, the mind is not the same thing as thoughts. The mind could be universal. The mind could be sacred. But not the mind that's a carrier of thought. The universe is emanated from an absolute source. Everything needs to remain connected to the source that emanated it. But thought separated itself from the source, and instead of fulfilling the purpose of the source, it wants to fulfill its own purpose. It wants to be a king. But anything that gets separated from its source dies. If you cut a branch off a tree and sap no longer flows through it, it becomes wood. Water flows from the mountain to the river. If some gets separated, it will dry up. Thought got separated from the source, so it imagines itself to be alive. Thought just generates another thought, and another, and another. Understanding is the antidote to suffering, because it sees through thought. It makes thought transparent, so you can see there is no substance in it. Then you don't believe in thought. You can see thought as thought, and you as you. You don't take your thoughts to be you. Understanding is eternal. Every moment of true understanding is permanent. How is it eternal? Because it connects to the source. Understanding is given. You can't make yourself understand. But if you have the proper receptivity, understanding may be given. The thoughts which cause suffering are made transparent when understanding is present. A way, as we are accustomed to hearing it, means a direction, a path to walk, a bridge between two things. As long as humanity has existed on this earth, there has always been a way, a form of teaching to help human beings come to the purpose and meaning of life. We appear to be mortal creatures, but this is only what we appear to be, not the reality of who we are. The way is directional, from what we think we are to what we really are. It could also be called the way of understanding. We can say our body survives by the air we breathe, and of course by the food and drink we take, and also by the impressions we take. These three sustain the body. But the air we breathe has two parts to it. One part enters the body and supplies oxygen. The other part comes from the prime source, and the purpose of it is transformation. In the same way, the heart also has two aspects. One is the periphery of the heart, the feelings or emotions. They always swing between opposites. They like things, and then they don't like things, and sometimes they love something that they hate a little later on. That's the periphery, the surface of the heart. The other aspect of the heart receives from the prime source. It is connected to the meaning of one existence, and the unity of all things. Its agent, which expresses that meaning, is love. This love needs to be purified. First we love in order to gain something, or because we need something. That's the periphery of the heart. But in the innermost aspect of the heart, the purpose of love has nothing to do with our personal self. To walk on that way, self-transformation is needed. We see the periphery of the self. When I look at you, I see the periphery of you. You look at me, and you see the periphery of me. We see the obvious. The whole of that is called the manifested universe. It's very difficult for us to see the reality of the manifested, the reality of what appears in front of our eyes. The apparent is like the ripples on the surface of the ocean. But what about the ocean itself? How can we enter into the ocean? How can we see the ocean when we look at the ripples? The aim of transformation is to be able to look at phenomena and come to their essential purpose and meaning in the moment. Because reality can only be experienced in the moment. The past and future, as such, don't have reality. We have images of them. We have concepts about them. We have theories and philosophy about them. To see things as they are is a very big aim. The reality of the self is not in what we see with our senses. It's the ocean itself, which is the source of the ripples. In the depth of our existence, in that which we really are, there is reality. When we come to the periphery, we know less and less of the depth, and we get lost. We mistake the obvious for reality, and we think life is all this that appears to be. Our aim becomes to secure ourselves by means of accumulating money, friends, and knowledge. We forget how temporary all that is. At the moment of death, all of it has to be left behind. Its importance is a fantasy of the mind, which only produces thought. And every thought produces another thought. We get caught inside this box of the brain, in thoughts, and then we're not living our life as it is. Getting out of that box and realizing who we really are, that is transformation. We enter into the unity of all that exists, and we see there is only one is in the entire universe. And that is the reality of everything that is. With everything we come in contact with, it's good to have an aim to see what is the isness of it. For that, we need to have being participation in our life. Being participation is not what it seems at first glance. It's much deeper than that, because being is always connected to beingness, to unity. In unity there is no fear. Fear comes from taking yourself separately. As soon as you are separate, you have to be afraid of me, and I have to be afraid of you. Separation comes as a result of using the mind outwardly, disconnected from the light of consciousness, disconnected from the source. Mind is in the dark and does not see, so it only works with concepts, constantly churning them around. To become free from that chattering of the mind, we need to be connected to the taste of our existence. The heart plays a big part here, because heart is our intimate connection to the source. Love is the emanation or manifestation of the heart. At the same time, it is the heart, because in that realm, nothing exists but love. Love is uncaused. There is no cause for it. It exists. Its existence is independent of conditions. So with that love, you can't love one thing and not love another. It's love of the totality. How to work with the way of the heart? Is it given by existence, or do we have to participate in it? If it is only given, and we don't have to worry about it, then the purpose of being a man on the earth disappears. Why do we have this body? Why do we have this form? Why have we come to this planet with all the difficulties our identification causes? And if it is important to have this form, why is it so temporary? 70, 80 years is like the blink of an eye in relation to existence as a whole. To make sense of this, we need to see that there are laws we have to understand about the creation and maintenance of the universe. We have to study, but not the way we're used to studying. How many things have you learned about that your mind thinks are good, yet you cannot do them? But there is another form of education, education by taste. The first step of education by taste is the most important. You have to taste your own existence. That means you can say by taste, I exist. You don't know what existence is unless you taste I exist. Coming to I exist is not so easy. You cannot just hear it and then do it. There's a process you have to go through. First, you have to come to the taste of there is this body. Do you know this body is here? Do you know this body breathes? Not before I asked that question. Body breathes has to be practiced until you know this body breathes. And that doesn't mean in your mind you know body breathes. If you do this one practice, just allow your mind to remain with the process of inhalation and exhalation. Something magical happens. The traffic of thoughts becomes less and less. This you can experience for yourself. You come to the quiet mind. When the mind comes to silence and is connected to the body, the heart joins in. In silence, you are connected to the prime source. You are connected to your true nature. You come to the taste of I exist. If you practice coming to the quiet of the mind, you find out that's where total forgiveness is. That's where total giving is. You're not giving because you want to give. Your being existence emanates giving, and all your surroundings benefit by that. A man in the heart does not need to love people. Love is, and everyone benefits by it. As soon as you want to give it, you make it personal. Everything that becomes personal, at some point, becomes meaningless. So you have to stay with the isness of it, always and everywhere. Stay with I am. The way of the heart is also the way of connectedness, because the heart by nature brings everything into unity. Mind diversifies. Heart unifies. Heart knows. Mind tries to figure out. When we are truly in the heart, in the innermost of the intimate connection with our source, our mind is a different mind. This mind works with conscious energy. The mind that works with conscious energy falls in love with the heart. And the heart already is in love with everything that exists, so the mind is included. From that love between the conscious mind and the conscientious heart, something is born. That's the real child. That's reality. The name of that child is understanding, the union of knowledge and being. Man needs to have an aim, to trust in something higher than himself. Love has to pass through that aim first. Then people can love each other, because they have a common aim, self-understanding. That love does not turn into hate. Through that aim, they love each other, because they love that aim. Draw a circle with a dot at its center. From the center point, you can draw many lines radiating out to the circumference. At the center, everything is one. Everything is unified. The farther any line goes from the center, the farther away it is from the other lines. Real love is not found much on the earth, because we've lost the connection to the center, to the source. We have to come back to the center. That's how we get closer to each other, and remember we are part of one unified existence. The way of the heart also means the way of unity. We can unify with the center point, with the source, and in that we become unified with others.